Hello my friends, John LaRuffa here with another straight up solo, and in this episode we're going to be looking at Tabannusi. Now, spoiler alert, this is a challenging game to both learn multiplayer wise and solo wise. Once it clicks, it makes sense. My recommendation to everybody watching this video, and I didn't do it and I should have listened to myself, play the game two-handed first. Get the regular rules down, then go into what the bot has and figure all that out after you understand the base game. I think it's going to be easier that way because as I did learn it, I thought to myself, I should have done it that way. It would have made the first experience much easier, and then I could have played the solo bot and gotten the nuances there. But let's go ahead and take a look at what we're doing here in this game. And it also is a good game, so watch, see what you think, and then we'll figure out if it's for you or not. And as usual, folks, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel because it very much helps me out. All right, so this game, I want to say right now, is a good game to play. I like it. It's a rich strategy game, and I'm telling you that right now so that you bear with me here, because I will tell you one thing. The main thing this game is missing, big time, is player aids. If they had put player aids in for the regular rules and the solo rules, this would be a much easier experience for everybody to grasp. I know the rulebook has information in it, I got it, but it's a wall of text, and when you're playing, it substantially just distracts you from playing the game the first time at least, and the second time, it would have just been so much better to have that player aid that would have helped jog your memory. Once you get like anything in this world, once you learn it, it's not so bad, right? But once you get the flow down, it goes a lot faster. I would definitely say, though, that learning how to play this game took some time. So I would want to demonstrate some of the more challenging things that you might come upon playing the game. So first of all, let's go through the setup, because the setup itself is a little bit tricky for the solo player. All right, so let's put his markers out there, put my markers out there. I'm playing as purple, he's black. Okay. All right, now the first thing is I have to pick a building, okay? And so I'm going to pick a building. Most likely you're going to start by picking one that has to do with your urban card here. So since I have to build so much in this district, I'm going to go someplace in that district and get started. And let's go ahead and begin. Let's see. Why don't we start with a gold building. And I'm going to start with a gold building, actually a brown building, because we need to spend a lot of effort building brown buildings because of the decree card up there. So let's do that. Let's go grab a brown building, start, and we do get the bonus as we begin. And I think we want the gold just to get moving here. Sure, why not? So we'll begin, we'll get the gold. Okay, and actually I was supposed to get a couple of things to start as well as the first player. Not the first player, but as the game begins, you start with a couple of things. And let me just take a look at that right now. Oops, and I forgot to put the setup gold up here. We'll do that. That is your round marker, your timer. That once those are done, that'll be after 5 scores. You will then basically get yourself into the final one turn of the game and be ready to be done. All right, so we've got that. I start with 5 of these. These are our claim markers here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 2 dice. And those come from where? Let's see. I got the crate. All right, I'll figure out the dice stuff. Okay, I was actually looking at the wrong example to start. Sorry about that, but we're going to go ahead and fix that right now. All right, so you start with 2 gold, the 1 random crate that you decide. Then I put this out here, and so I got my starting spot, my bonus. You do not get that first revealed bonus when you put this down, when you take off that house from your board in the beginning. For the AI is going to draw their 2 cards like normal. And then when you do that, you're going to look at the 0 or the left card to to figure out where it begins. When it says 0, that actually means a 3. So that 3 will be the spot that they begin the game in. Oh, and I was supposed to put my guys right here in this district. I'm also playing with the variable barges. So these colors are different than if you played with the standard game, just to spruce it up. And I'm also using I'm using like the second or the third choice here for the bots. The bot Baba is the one that I'm using in this game. Okay, so then let's figure out, he's going to go to District 3, which is where I am as well. And then in the case of they're going to use the priority to figure out what you're actually doing. So let's take a look. Okay, so just to clarify here, we are drawing these 3 preferred districts, 1, District 2, or Project 1, Project 2, Project 3, pardon me, out of there. So those are that's how we're going to figure out which color he prefers. We're going to look at this arrow over here. We're going to see that it prefers to place a white building. I'm sorry, a white project, a white building, yeah. And it's going to do it in this district with me because I said the 0 actually is a 3. So let's get the white one. Okay, we're going to select his first white building over here. Then we're going to look at his king card. And the king card gives him his personality, so to speak. And it's going to say, okay, place it in the highest location, all right? So that little up arrow means the top location from the number standpoint. And that would be our 16 right here. And then it gets the bonus there, and it gets the bonus here. It's going to be the white and the white. All right. So we've begun. We've placed them out. The setup should be good. Also, you want to remove one of these claim markers from this urban card. Let me explain this urban card for you because it was very confusing to me. Number one, anytime the solo bot builds a actual house, not a project, but a house, it's going to remove one of these markers from the claim card. That includes building houses in the Ziggurat district and on the Port district. Once it's removed all of the spots or the claim markers in a specific district, it will skip that spot for the rest of the game. It will not go there. It will skip it. So while we see this, the procession here of the architect and the assistant going around, if I have built, in this case, 3 buildings in the Ziggurat area up here, he will never go back there again. Leave it alone, abandon it. If I build 1 port building out here, he will never go back there again. And these are tuned up for the specific king tile or king card that you get, okay? So I'm assuming they're balanced in that regard. Now, at the end of the game, he will get 2 points per building that he's built in each of these districts up to the limit that's on the card. So you'll notice that I had the ability to build 3 in this one spot over here, but I only get 2 points for the first 2, okay? So that is what that card means. I hope that's more clear. Basically, you got to know that anytime you put down one of his houses, you remove one of those from the district that it's in, and when you do that, if it's all gone, you will skip it. And then you'll get 2 points for each house that's in a district up to the limit that's printed on the card. Okay, I found that pretty confusing. It took me a while to figure out what I was doing and why. Okay, so we're now set up. Let's talk about what this game is all about as far as what you're trying to do. Now, the basic mechanics of this game is that you're trying to put down these project areas so that you can build the different houses and buildings, so to speak, in these areas, ultimately to score points that will be modified by where you are in your mastery track. And at the end of the game, you're going to score everything, whether it's really scored or not. Most of the time, I think you're going to score each of these districts once. Maybe you'll score one twice and then miss one. But it's a building game. And it's also a game where you're trying to spend some of your actions kind of tagging along with other people's buildings because you get compensated pretty well even if you don't build the building, but someone else does, and you have claim markers in the project area, that will move you up on these mastery tracks, which will ultimately be point multipliers for you at the end of the game. Also should be known that In order to score anything for any of these buildings, you at least have to move up once on the mastery track. And there are 3 different colors for the 3 different color buildings that you're going to build in the game. Okay, so that's the first concept that you want to understand. The second concept you want to understand is that when you put your houses in this ziggurat area, it is going to award you points for these special conditions that you have. Like for instance, this condition, this little guy says for each house that you've built in a port, you're going to get 2, 3, or 4, depending on how much you've gone in this spot with your claim markers. And so that could be a strategy. Basically, what these things are doing is these are helping you determine what is my secondary point game, at the end of the game going to be. If I can focus on one of these areas, I can get a lot of points if I play into that. The third area you're going to be scoring points on is trying to collect these decree cards. If you can do what's on the top, for instance, this decree card says, if you build 3 white buildings and 3 gold buildings, you can immediately on your turn take this card, flip over 3 of your crates, get a claim marker, and score 10 points. These are first come, first served. Once someone does it, they're finished for the rest of the game. So that's another place you can score some points. And then you've got your own urban card here. Mine says if I build 3 buildings in this district right here, 1 in here and 1 here, I'll score 10 points at the end of the game for that. All right? So, and there's all these other little spots you can score for different things, but that's the basic gist. And I even had a kind of tough time getting that. And I don't know if I just didn't understand the rules well enough, but this game took me a while to figure out. All right, so that's what's going on. Whenever you cover something with your project tile, you get the bonus immediately. Whenever the bot covers something with a project tile, it does not get the bonus. Rather, it looks to see if this arrow is pointing to this face. So I'm going to show you this right here. Note this arrow. Note the king's face, all right? If the arrow points to the king card, you will use your king card to tell you what to do in certain situations. It's like a priority and a preference card, and it kind of helps drive the game in one direction or another. It's a clever system and it works well, but it is kind of confusing until you get the hang of it. When you get a bonus, if this arrow does not point to the king card, like I just told you here, if it points someplace else, then you will get this icon right here. So that means that when these 2 cards are up, anytime my opponent, the bot, will build a project tile and put it on any one of these icons, you'll get that, he will get that bonus, okay? That also is true for the garden tiles as well. So pretty much that's the way they're getting their bonuses over here in the king spot. They do get the bonuses when they uncover everything over there. Most of the time it's gold. And if they uncover or they cover up one of these claim tokens out here, I've been playing it where they ignore, they do get the bonus over here. Over here, they just ignore them. Up there, they just ignore them. And I think that's the right rules because they already have an unlimited supply of them. I've seen some people say they want to try to increase the bot and make it tougher and say when they get that, they don't ignore it, but they actually will get, some points or whatever. But I believe, as I can understand from the rules, they ignore them when they're over here. They ignore them up there. But I'm playing it like if they cover these, then you actually do get the bonus in the card. Okay? All right. So let's go ahead and play through a couple of turns so you get the gist of what this looks like. And I just reviewed the rules really quickly, and again, notice that I made a mistake. They get 1 point over here. And that's the kind of stuff that drives me, that's very difficult. I'm going to read you this spot in the rules where it says, consider this. It says, if the bonus is a claim marker, it gains 1 victory point instead. This is under the mastery tracks. Consider this a general rule for any time the bot gains a claim marker in a situation not already specified. Well, that's great. So what does that mean? Well, that means that I had to remember what was already specified and then sort through it. This is just, it's too bad. I don't know why they couldn't have made a player aid for this like they did for Tabannusi, for instance, okay? Tabannusi had a really good, solid player aid. It was very complicated, but it worked. You could follow the steps. You knew the exceptions. You knew what they were getting. They should have done that. Now, I printed out something that somebody else did from the Geek over there, and that's helpful. But, it shouldn't be up to the community. I'm sorry, and I'm giving you that in the midst of this, but it should not be up to the community to try to fill in the gaps and make this stuff happen. It's a good game. They need people, designers these days. There's plenty of examples of when people put together really good, helpful player aids. So it's not like it's an ignorance thing. I think it's just a thing of thinking about people trying to figure this out. Now, I know the game says you should play this multiple times before you tackle a solo, and that's great unless you don't get to play it multiple times because you are a solo gamer like me, or you can't get your community together or whatever. So again, there's a little exception that got me confused. Apparently, you don't score from the points there for the claim markers. You do get 1 point here, and I've been playing on there that you get these, and that's the way I'm going to do it. So anyway, let's begin. The bot is going to take the first turn, and the way they do that is they take this action card, they put that one up over here, and they reveal another one from the deck. All right, now, the first thing you've got to understand is you look at this number, which is a 1. The architect moves 1 space clockwise, okay? Then the bot will execute the first action on the card on the left, and they will try to do it with any kind of priorities or whatever being based on where this arrow is pointing. So this is a B action, and it is going to be for this, the second priority over here. If I have to deal with that, it's going to use the blue arrow. The blue arrow means the highest number on the board of spaces, if I need to do that. And the B, A, B, and C actions and such are conveniently printed on the board, which is great, except for whatever reason, the custom tiles don't say C over there like they do over here. I don't know why. It would have been helpful for them to put A's on these tiles and C's on those, but they didn't for, I don't know, maybe it was just an oversight. Anyway, after you've played it once, you understand this is A, B, C, and D, and you get that feel. The A action for the bot, unless it's pointing to the king, is always to take 4 points. So they never actually take this because this wouldn't make as much sense for them to be competitive. So they are going to do the B action first, all right? Now the bot starts with 3 gold, which I didn't hit in the setup because it doesn't get the crate to start off, it just gets the extra gold. So B action is to place a claim token. Now where are they going to place a claim marker? They are going to look at their card, they're going to see it's a blue arrow, and they're going to place the claim marker here in the second location. They're going to do that in the district that they're standing, okay? So that means the highest board space that's legal, I'm going to place this marker, all right? And I'm going to put that in the highest board space. It cannot go here because it can never go adjacent to a similar colored building, okay? So that leaves 14 off. It can go here, so it's going to place there. It's going to place one of its unlimited claim markers over here. Because I did cover a bonus, I'm going to get this, not the card, because this is pointing to that, not the face, and I'm going to get another gold. That is action number 1. Action number 2 is it's going to start on the top of this area, and it's going to start working its way down, okay? So here it says begin with C. The C action is to try to build a building in this district, okay? So it has enough resources to do just that. So it is going to build a building in the legal place it has. Oh, and by the way, I should have drawn from the bag one of these. And to seed the bag, I'll mention that now, you look at these 2 decree cards and you put in the highest number you see out here of each tile. So this is a 5 brown. I put 5 browns in there. Then I put 3 whites and 3 golds. I don't put the 1 gold because that's not the highest number. So that's how you seed the bag. The reason for that is to try to get them to draw and build what's on those cards so they can competitively try to grab them, which they will grab them if they ever meet the conditions at the end of their turn. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and build that building. We're going to spend the resources like usual. And I forgot, I should have remembered this. When I moved him, he moved 1 space. I should have taken 1 die from here to begin. I apologize. This is a common resource. Once you take it, the number doesn't matter. So he has 1 green of the 2 that he needs. So he's going to spend another gold. Gold is wild. That right there will cover the common resource cost. Then I have to spend 1 white resource, or a gold, which is wild, to build my building on the white spot. We're going to spend those. We're going to put this over here. We're going to put this back in our supply, and we are going to return this tile, build a white building, and then put a white marker on it. Again, he gets nothing for that when he revealed it on his board because that's a claim marker and he has plenty of them. So now he has a second white building in there. And like I said before, we're going to remove one of these because once he builds 3 buildings in this area, he's going to skip it for the rest of the game. So those were his 2 actions. He always takes 2 actions. If he can't take any action at all, he takes an A action, which is to get 4 points. All right, his turn is done. Now he's going to go over here. Now let's explain some other things that could have happened. If I had had a project token right here, let's just say this is an if, and he had built that, I would have been compensated for that. This would have been moved off. He would have built a bigger building, have to spend a little bit more resources. When it moves me off, I would have been bumped up on the white track as compensation, which is good. If I had a water and a garden tile next to it like this, and he had built that building, and I had a claim marker on it, I would have been compensated in the same way, except this wouldn't have gone away. It would have just bumped me up on that track. And so one of the big strategies of this game is you're trying to surround the opponent with stuff that you've claimed to try to help you. Now, the only rub on that is that the garden will stay there and will give him some extra bonuses later on in the game as he scores this house. So you've got to be cognizant of that, okay? But the other one, it's kind of compensation. So if you have a feeling that he's going to build there, and again, this is an AI, which does things a little bit randomly, so you can't really know, but it's definitely something you want to have happen because as these go up, the multipliers go up for you in the game when it gets to the end. Okay, so there's his 2 actions. We're done. Now, this card then goes on top and is prepared for the next round. A couple other things to mention. If this bag ever goes empty, if I run out of these tiles, they say get 1 of each, just put in the bag. And if the deck runs out, you just shuffle the deck and then continue on. Okay, so that is what he's going to do, or that's what he did. Now let's see what I'm going to do on my turn. I also should make one thing clear that when I put that water and that garden tile there, it was for demonstrations only. You have to basically extend water from an existing canal or an existing garden already on the board. You can't just plop it anywhere you want. All right, so just to make that clear. Okay, so in my turn, I get to choose what I want to do. And the whole reason of choosing your die with a number is that is going to dictate where you're going to go in which district you're going to go to next time. If you choose a 6, it is a wild that you can go anywhere you want, but you can't go in any of these districts over here that are already here. So this is a 1 and a 4. That means if I choose the 1, my next turn would be there. If I choose the 4, my next turn would be there. If I choose the 6, I could go in either of these spots. There is no other reason for the die to have numbers. It does not matter what they are once you choose where you want to go. So, being that the port is something I like to try to get in early because a lot of these bonuses help you earlier. For instance, this one would give me 2 points every time I built a white house. I'm going to go ahead and choose the 4, and that lets me be prepared to take a turn there next time. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get in a little bit of this variety action here. I'm going to choose one of these things. I'm going to choose this, not the 3-pointer. Let's get the double claim marker. So when I get this, when I build on top of this, I'll get 2 free claim markers out of my my storage here. I'll get a claim marker here and I'll get a garden. I'm going to use that because I'm going to need that later to do some clever building things, try to get myself a little bit more on the board. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is I am going to put down a project tile in this area. And what I'm thinking about doing, because we need so many brown buildings in this game to do that decree up there, I think I'm going to build a brown one. Can't build it there, which would have been nice because you need these common ones. But instead, what I will do is probably get a 2-for-1 situation. So I'm going to build it. I'm going to put it down right here. Okay, put a claim marker on it. This icon says put another project down for free. Well, don't mind if I do. I'm going to go ahead and put this over here. It's going to give me a free claim marker. And so I am kind of getting off the ground there and establishing my presence. Okay, so that is my turn. Now at the end, I will move my assistant over here. Let's go ahead and see another full round and see what happens. Okay, so we flip over the AI card because it's his turn. We're going to sum these up. This is a 2 plus 1 is a 3. So we're going to move his architect 3 spaces clockwise. 1, 2, 3. Oh, he's going to be with me as well next time. Now we're going to go ahead and see what he does. Okay, so he does C action first. All right, C action is another building action, but he cannot do any building actions because he didn't place anything there. So we skip down to B. B is to place a claim marker. This is pointing at the lowest spot. So he's going to place a claim marker at the lowest spot, and it's pointing at number 1. So he's going to place this brown claim marker right here. I should keep saying claim marker. Projectile with a claim marker. Pardon me. And that is his first turn. Okay, second turn, he starts with B again. He can do the exact same thing. He's going to place, whoops, let me see. So I got to draw another one of the bag here. Exact same thing. He can do it again. It's pointing at the arrow, so it's going to be the lowest number. This time, number 1, or spot number 1, is a gold tile. So he's going to place that and place another claim marker on that. Now, neither of these had bonuses, so he doesn't get any bonuses there. But he is next to the garden spaces, so that might work out for him later. All right, he's done what he needs to do. Again, I forgot to grab the 3. I apologize. Should be doing that the first thing. It's grabbing that. Don't know. There's just so much you got to think about here. Either that or I'm just a little slow and I don't know what to tell you. Okay, so he moves over there. His turn is done. We stack the card. I also want to make one thing crystal clear here, which I may have made a mistake in the first one. This arrow points over here to the action that they want him to take next. So the first action starts at the top. Then where this arrow is pointing is where you start action-wise over here, okay? So in that first scenario, I went to C. I was wrong. I should have gone to D, all right? D would have been to place garden stuff, but I wouldn't have been able to do any of that over there. So what would have ultimately happened is I would have been, I think I did that right. But anyway, I wouldn't have been able to do D because I didn't have any garden tiles over here to start. When you don't have a garden tile, you can't initiate it to begin. So I would have been back to B. I still would have placed the claim. But I want to let you know, that's how you read it. Top to bottom over here, and then wherever this arrow's pointing, there, and cycle through. Okay, sorry about that confusion. Again, even after playing this a little bit, I still seem to be struggling a little. All right, now, back to the situation at hand. It is my turn. I begin by selecting a die to see where I'd like to go. For variety's sake, I'm going to go ahead and pick the die number 5. The reason I'm doing that is twofold. 1, I like to have an idea of what I'm going to be doing in the ziggurat area. 2, I'll demonstrate what's going on there. Okay, so I have 2 actions over here. I could place a gold, 2 gold, to start to put things out here, which is probably what I will actually do. The only downside, well, yeah, I can still do that. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is action B. I'm going to spend the 2 gold. I'm going to place one of my claim markers on one of these spots. And like I said before, I like getting these off the ground, being able to do something. I'm going to put it over here. And what this says is every time I place a building on a white building, I'll get 2 points. And actually, I'm sorry, it's not white building. It's anytime I place a building, period, I get 2 points. The color doesn't matter in that regard, okay? So, we've gone ahead and claimed that. And now my second turn is going to be to place a house. I have one of the white resources that I need, and I can spend this other gold to be my second resource. And I'm going to place a house which has to come from my uncolored spots down here. We're going to put it, since I went there, I'm going to put it on this blue spot. I'm going to get this crate. This is a reusable resource every time it gets reset. Put it in my crate spot here, which you can have 4 of these throughout the game, and that's good. That will go ahead and get me off the ground and help me to get more resources that are generally in my hand. All right, so I am finished with my action at that point, and now I'm going to go ahead and move right here. Okay? So we've taken a couple actions. We're going to take one more round just to show some more concepts, and then I'll kind of tell you about scoring, and then we'll proceed to what I think, which you've gotten a little bit of that. Okay, the AI flips the card. 2 plus 2 is 4. There is no 4 here, so he takes the highest die. Then he moves 1, 2, 3, 4 to this spot. He just keeps trailing me, I guess. Okay, and then we see what he's going to do. So here is a great spot where, again, it would have been really nice if they had the player aid, because it would be easier since this is different than these in a little ways. So first we go to action B, all right? Action B, in this case, because we're dealing with this, and this is not pointing to the king. Actually, if it had pointed to the king, there wouldn't have been any difference. But he's going to go ahead and place he's going to pay the 2 gold, okay? So in that case, he's playing 2 gold, and he's going to claim the preferred ship. Now, the preferred ship has to do with some preferred information here in this little table. And there's different things. There's preferred resource colors, there's preferred ship, there's current district rule, there's dice value, place preference, etc. So I like that they thought about all these things. It's just, again, it would just been a little bit more handy if we knew if it was right out there, all right? So in the case of a preferred ship, it says that that's one that is both in a row and a column with at least one of its houses. If it doesn't have that, in a row of a column with at least one of its houses. Doesn't have that in a column with one. If not, first available space, top to bottom, left to right. So first available space, top to bottom, left to right is going to be right here. So he's placed that. Okay, now the arrow's pointing over here to an A action. What that means is that we are going to go to the A action, which is the default 4 points for him. So in this game, you start at 10 because you can lose points to pay for things. So he jumps up to 14. And then he joins me at the ziggurat spot. All right, now it's my turn. So I am going to see where I want to go next. And given my resource situation, I'm a little shy on some stuff. I'm probably going to go back to the green district because I would like to try to figure out, if possible, how to get myself moving there. But that's not, you know what? We're not going to do that. We are going to go to the brown district because I'm going to need brown resources before I can build those. So we're going to grab this 1, put that over here. He's going to head over to space number 1 so I can get some brown resources next time. Up here, I've got some choices. I could lose 2 points to go up on that track. I can pay 2 yellow to place a house. Okay, I only have 1 yellow. Or I can put my guy anywhere I want and get one of these resources. So it would be nice if I had an extra yellow. I don't. And so that is going to mean I'm not going to be able to put a person or a house out on a ziggurat. And if I did put a house on it, let's say I did have the 2 yellow, I choose one of the colors, I put it over here, I get a bonus, and then I take one of my claim markers and start the process getting that. But I don't have that. Instead, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to, let's do this. We've got some green opportunities. Let's go ahead. I could move my guy anywhere. I'm happy with where he is, so we're not going to move him. But I'm going to take this green resource right here. And now I have 2 green resources, which can be used to buy garden tiles in the future. Second thing I'm going to do, lose 2 points to go up on the brown track, because I'm going to be doing a lot with the brown track, or a lot with the brown buildings in this game. All right, so that's my turn. Now, one thing is there's these bonuses on the side there. When your lowest marker moves to the next space, and let's say I had this situation right here. Let's say this was here, this was here. This is my lowest marker. When my lowest marker gets to the space aligned with these, you get those things. But it's the lowest one. So it's a little counterintuitive. Most of the time you move up and you get whatever's there. As you cross, not in this game, it's whoever's the caboose will get that reward. Okay? All right. So I'm going to join back over here, and that'll be the end of my turn. All right, let's quickly talk about what it is when a district scores, okay, or a spot scores. When the barge is empty of dice, after your turn is done, you, if you're whoever empties it, will gain the gold over there, effectively checking off one of the full rounds, or whatever you want to say, one of the first scores. And when 5 of those are done, the game will trigger the end phase. Okay, after that happens again, you are going to have nothing over here. You're going to go through the scoring phase. What you're going to do is you're going to look at each of the buildings that's in those areas, and you're going to take that number, the number of buildings, it could be 1, 2, or 3 large. You're going to multiply it by wherever your mastery track is here on these victory points, and you're going to score that amount of points. Not just you, but everybody in the district. If you have actually, if anybody has, I'm just, again, hypothetical here, if this was on a water and this is all extended, if this was a situation like this building would be worth 2, not 1. If it was in the center, this would be worth 2, this would be worth 2, and this would be worth 2. It doesn't matter who has the claim marker. It just matters that a claim marker is actually there, okay? So if you put a garden next to those buildings, it doesn't matter if it's your garden or somebody else. You get the credit if you're sitting there in the spot, if there's a garden there. And that's important to know because the gardens are good, but you don't want to necessarily put them around everybody else's. Also, it's only if they're adjacent. So it's not like if I had 3 gardens out here, I could get 1, 2, 3, 4 times whatever that. It's just the adjacent stuff. So you're trying to surround by your gardens and kind of expand the size of your buildings if all possible. After you do that, you take all of these resources, even the ones that people haven't spent, you roll them again, you put them back on the boat, and then the scoring phase is over. And that is basically how the scoring works. And yeah, I think that's it. So I'm just taking a look here based on the color. Hold on. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. When someone else's die is returned, even your own, you get a reward for that based on the color. So if it is one of these 3 districts, you get a bump on the mastery track. If it is a blue die, you get a water tile. If it is a green die, you get a garden tile. Okay, so there is some compensation from that as well. You don't just lose the resources. All right, so that's the situation. That's about as much as I can explain right now. And let's go ahead and I'll give you my thoughts on the game. Okay, so you could tell that even after I've played this game and tried my absolute best to master the solo rules, I still was tripping over some things. That's just indicative of how many if this then that, if that then this. There's a lot of priority. This is a complex game to make a solo bot for. And I like what they did with the draws. I like what they did with the bag and how that works to push everything. They did a good job with this solo. It's effective. It's workable, but it's just too complicated to do without a good player aid. And I still, even the one I have is okay. I wish they had published that. And you can definitely tell from my frustration that I think that was the missing link. And when someone develops a really good player aid and it works well and it gets well distributed, I think that's going to really help. I've seen some decent player aids from the multiplayer, or I should say the normal part as it is. And it can be done. I know it can be done. So I've got this one for the solo. It's good. It's just there's a lot of edge cases and things to figure out and understand. So what I mean by that is, in order to play this game solo, it is going to take some serious legwork. I'd say it's a step below the kind of flow charts you've had to use if you play coin games and things like that, but it's not that far away. And it feels like in a lot of ways, imagine trying to play, if you guys understand what I mean by coin game, it's one of the heaviest games I play by GMT, and they have extremely complex and difficult bots that represent what players would do. And they usually do it in a set of flow charts. Now they've come out with some cards, they do that. Imagine trying to do that without the flow chart. That's kind of the way I feel, not quite, but kind of the way I feel without player aid in this game. Yeah, the information's there in the rule book, but it would just be so much nicer if it was out here. So I would say, if you like these types of games, this is still a very good game. There's a lot of strategy here. I liked my playthrough. My playthrough was a bit of a challenge as I was learning it. and that's okay. But I need a better player aid, and this isn't the first time this happened. For instance, Tabannusi. Tabannusi is another really good game by this publisher, Boards and Dice. I really like that game. I had to make my own player aid because it was so hard for me to remember what I was doing with the Automa to get it done. Now, they did a great job in the expansion. They put a player aid on the back of that for the solo player. Fantastic. That was really good, really helpful. I think this company, they did a good job with it when it came to TCU over here. They had a good aid. That was helpful. That's what we need here. Besides that, I've heard comments that the bot is weak on Board Game Geek. And in my first playthrough, just because I was learning and everything else, the bot beat me by 2 points. But I could definitely see how people could say that. The best suggestion I've also read is to spot the bot a few additional bumps on the mastery track and a few additional buildings in the district. I think that's probably the most elegant way to increase the difficulty on here. I saw a lot of other people that were doing other things for cost and this and that might work too, but there was just more rules, and how do I remember said rules and figure that out compared to everything I'm already trying to struggle with? It's much easier, I think, to just add a couple of buildings to those districts. Maybe, give them a little bit of a lead depending on the decree cards you're working at, and then a few more masteries. I think that would do the trick, and I think that could tighten it up. So once you learn the game, if you feel like you're just clobbering the bot, you could easily make those implementations. I don't think it's a broken system. This bot is not broken. I want to be very clear. People said, oh, it's broken, it fall apart. No, I don't think so. The system works. It just needs to be tweaked a little bit. All right, so that's my thoughts on the game. I like it. I'm going to keep it. I'm going to spend the time to learn it and master it. I have not mastered it yet, as you could see, as I was trying to explain it here, and I was still falling down a bit. But I'm going to spend that time. And then I'm going to play it enough so that I know it by heart, because I don't want to relearn this thing without a player aid. So I hope this was helpful for you. If you're on the fence and you like heavy strategy games, this one definitely has a heavy strategic element, and I think it's a worthwhile game. The bot is good once you know what you're doing, and it can be competitive probably when you tweak it up. So if you don't want to go through all that, and you're just like, gosh, that's just so much work, then it may not be the game for you. There's many other games out there, even by this publisher, that offer good strategies and good gameplays and good bots. I still don't think this is a pass for me. I think this is good. I'm excited to continue to learn it. I like the challenge of learning tough things, so I'm going to like the challenge of mastering this one. Anyway, regardless what you decide to do, I hope this was helpful for you. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. And whatever you play in the future, have an awesome time doing it. Take it easy, everybody.